What's going on, sports fans? Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speak Sports. Mostly talking about Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. I want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang. What's going on, YouTubers? War Damn Eagle. Now, when I think about Auburn's program and where it is, say, between 2013 up until now, I could say overall, although not a complete disaster, but just a series of missed opportunities that has kept this Gus Malzahn era from being great. And when I think about it, I think about 5 things that could have gone a lot different for Gus Malzahn and his staff that would have most of the Auburn fan base and even college football's perception of Auburn at this moment a lot different. And it probably would have definitely helped with the overall quality of recruiting between 2013 up until now. Now, number one, when you get to the national championship game back in 2013, Auburn had just come off a miraculous finish to the 2013 season of prayer at Jordan-Hare against Georgia. And then a couple of weeks later, Chris Davis's historical field goal return for a touchdown to end Alabama's national championship hopes, taking Auburn to the SEC championship against Missouri, just outscoring Missouri, going into Florida State basically in the national championship game, basically dominating that game up by as much as 21-3, only to surrender the game within seconds. 34-31. When you get to that type of ball game and you have that kind of lead, you just have to win that football game. And it hurt Auburn in so many ways because, for one, it's already hard enough to compete with Alabama national championship-wise anyway. Alabama has just reigned terror over the whole national championship thing. But Auburn would have had at least, when they start to recruit, at least would have had some type of argument, because winning 2 national championships within 3 years is a very good sell when you sit on somebody's couch and talking to their parents and talking to them about where your program is headed. But when you lose the game to within, 3 points with only a few seconds left, then you got to answer the tough questions. Well, what happened? How could you get that close to the national championship and lose? Those kind of questions are ones that just, you don't want to have to answer. So if you win the game, results speak for itself. You don't have to answer so many tough questions, and you don't have so many instances where you have recruits flipping to other schools because of they're able to sell teams not only on where they're headed, but they can sell teams on where they have been. All right, so number 2 in this same segment is not winning the SEC championship in 2017. Kind of similar to 2013 when they started to make that miraculous run after the loss to LSU. It's kind of similar. 2013, they lost to LSU, then went on an incredible run to the national championship. Had the opportunity to do the same thing in 2017 after surrendering that lead to LSU, which we're going to talk about later on in this video. Losing to Georgia after beating Georgia a couple of weeks prior while Georgia was number 1, 40-17, then turning around and beating Alabama, the number 1 team, beat 2 number 1 teams to make it to the SEC championship, only to lose to Georgia, team they faced 2 weeks prior. Now, what made this game so bad is that even with the time that Auburn had to prepare for this game, they did not make any type of adjustments for the absence of Kerryon Johnson. They kind of had the approach, well, if we can't win with Kerryon Johnson, we just won't win it. I just didn't like the fact that they didn't try to diversify play calling, that they didn't try to maybe utilize Cam Martin a little bit more to give themselves a shot at winning this football game. And even with all the anemia that was going on with Auburn offensively in this game, they still pretty much had a shot in this Georgia game up until I think that blocked field goal late in the third quarter kind of started the seal of the deal. And, of course, DeAndre Swift taking off on the left side onto the touchdown. That kind of started to, pull the game away for Georgia. And Auburn just right there, having a chance to be one of the first 2-loss teams to be in the college football playoffs, just surrendering that moment. Those are things that really hurt you. Number 2, I think the mis-recruitment of Jeremy Johnson and just a poor choice. I mean, in recruiting Sean White, Jeremy Johnson was just a misrecruit. I looked at him on film. I didn't understand, even in high school, what Gus Malzahn was trying to get out of Jeremy Johnson, because he really wasn't like the prototypical dual threat quarterback that Gus needs in this system. See, he doesn't need necessarily a Cam Newton. He needs more so someone who fits the bill as close to Nick Marshall as possible, because Nick Marshall was deadly in the run-pass option. He could kind of throw the ball a little bit, but his first step was so crucial. See, Cam Newton had to get off to a little bit of a start, but you need a quick guy that can kind of shoot out of there like a cannon, like Nick Marshall did against Alabama in that 2013 campaign. And I just think Sean White was just I don't understand the recruitment. I just really don't understand the recruitment of Sean White. Guy had a heart of gold, had a heart of a lion, but just did not, even on film, did not display the high-level talent that you need to lead a team to a high level in the SEC. All right, so number 3, losing crucial games at the wrong time. Okay, so in 2016, literally at the gate of being, possibly being the first 2-loss team in the country to ever make the college football playoff, Auburn was right there. Absolutely right there. But they lost Cameron Petway the week prior in the game to Vanderbilt. He kind of hurt his hamstring a little bit. Going into the Georgia game, without Cameron Petway, and then having to rely on Kerryon Johnson, who was somewhat injured as well, coming out of that game against a Georgia team that just wasn't that good and losing the game 13-7, that was just unbelievable, and it was just unacceptable, and it just cost Auburn another opportunity at greatness. Now, chances are they weren't going to beat Alabama anyway, but it gives you a better chance, gives you a better, hope going into that football game, and they just a squandered opportunity. All right, losing to LSU and in 2017 and 2018 after having the game won. In 2017, Auburn was up 20-0, only to surrender the lead and lose 28-23. The year following, had the game in hand, had to come back from behind to take a 21-13 lead, only to squander the lead late in the game and lose that game 22-21, which started kind of a catastrophic fall in 2018. And then, this was my favorite one that Auburn lost, losing to UCF. Now, this is a game that you got to find a way to win, because UCF was pleading their case to say, okay, we've deserved to be in the playoffs. Well, who do they match up against? Auburn. Auburn beat the number 1 team in the country 2 weeks in between one another. Beat Alabama and beat Georgia. So, if UCF beats Auburn, then hell, they deserve to be in the play. And Auburn just fell right into it, losing to UCF. My goodness. Those are things that keep you from being great, ladies and gentlemen. And this past year's loss to Tennessee was just absolutely damaging. You cannot lose to a team like Tennessee ever, okay? Especially if you're Auburn. Auburn is a top 15 team every year, easy. You do not lose to how bad Tennessee was this year. Now, here's some things that kind of contributed to this. All right, so lack of depth at running back at crucial times. Now, when I talk about those crucial times, I'm referring to the games that Auburn lost, those crucial games that Auburn lost. Both, ironically, against Georgia. When Auburn lost those games to Georgia. They were out without their feature back. And see what Auburn has to do, and I think they fixed this problem moving forward. Auburn has to have more reliability when one running back goes down. I mean, the days of the one running back running for 400 yards and 20-something carries, it's just not happening. Just not happening. So, lack of depth at running back at those crucial times have proven to be deadly for Auburn. And also, limited talent at quarterback. Like, say, for instance, during those times when they lost, Jeremy Johnson, proved to be a flop. And then Sean White just, couldn't get it done. Overall, he was either injured. When he was healthy, he was pretty effective. But for the most part, he just wasn't the guy. Also, lack of depth at quarterback, say this year, when Jarrett Stidham was clearly struggling and probably could have been pulled from the games. He just couldn't be pulled because there was nobody to back him up for real. Okay? So those are things moving forward. I think Gus Malzahn probably has corrected because he has Joey Gatewood, Bo Nix, and Cord Sandberg, which are all quarterbacks that can run this offense effectively. And last but not least, one of the biggest mistakes of the Gus Malzahn era is hiring Chip Lindsey. You talking about offensive-minded coaches that have two totally different ends of the spectrum as it relates to philosophies, just led to a lot of clashing. Just led to a lot of headbutting. Just led to a lot of disagreement, and it showed up on the field, especially last year. Auburn probably had its worst output ever offensively. 17 minutes of time of possession in crucial SEC games, only netting 200 yards in certain games of those is not going to win you anything, and it's not going to do anything but be a waste of a season. When Gus Malzahn took back over the play calling, Auburn was absolutely phenomenal. Now, I'm going to end it there. Appreciate y'all listening. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. All we were talking about today was just basically talking about the 5 things that kept Auburn from being at that cusp of greatness that they should be at right now. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT, like I said before, for Vernon Speaks Sports. Mostly talking about Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. Want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang. Like, comment, and subscribe. War Eagle.